So it is 11 o'clock here in Germany. So welcome everybody to this webinar today about talking about the total cost of ownership with a Mirasys system. Before we start, I would like to give you some homework. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please write them down into the Teams app, into the Q&A part of the Teams app, so that we can answer them afterwards in the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So, and if you are logged in anonymously, so please also leave your email address so that we can answer this question if I'm not able to answer this afterwards to you directly. So without email address, we cannot give you the answer. So it could happen that I'm not able to answer this at the end. So first of all, again, welcome to this webinar today. So I'm Udo Schneider and I'm the Sales and Business Development Director for Mirasys, working in Central Europe and Eastern Europe and also in the Northern Africa. And I'm really proud to lead you through this webinar today. It will be a little bit more theoretical because when we are talking about total cost of ownership, we need also to see how it fits into our software or what our software can do for you. So there are no demos today and there is no presentation about Mirasys today. So in that case, for the newbies, if you want to have some more information about Mirasys as a company, please contact us directly. Let's walk through the contents. Yeah, so first of all, I would like to have some ideas about what does mean total cost of ownership. And then we will define also some portions out of this, some parts out of the total cost of ownership. So you see here purchase, training, usability, security, etc. And we'll go through these single parts and see what Mirasys and its VMS can do for you to save costs, to save time, to save money, and to save human resources in that way. So that's the plan for today. So let's rock it. Yeah. Total cost of ownership. There is an iceberg disaster when we are talking about total cost of ownership or investment into a new system, like in a VMS system. So if we are investing into a system, first of all, we will see the CapEx, the capital expenditures. That means the investment into software, buying software licenses, buying hardware, investing into maybe an expansion of the network, installation costs, configuration costs into cameras, etc., etc. So all the investments are the first look to our costs when we are investing or when we are deciding for a new system. But this is only a small portion of the whole total cost of ownerships. What does it mean? So we can see also that there are costs behind this afterwards during the life cycle, and these costs are named OPEX, operational expenses, for using the system, for training, for how to use the system, if it is efficient enough, etc. Talking about resources, repairs, maintenance, etc., etc. We will come later to this. But if we are talking about the whole life cycle costs or the total cost of ownership in the new world, so then we need to talk about, the CapEx and the OPEX. So the whole iceberg. And that's what I'm very often see, even in smaller systems. You see only the iceberg on top of the water, above the water level, but you do not see what is happening below. And if you are deciding, or if a lot of customers are deciding, depending on if the solution, the features are fitting, if the price is good, the buying price is the lowest one, etc., etc., you know this already. But they have no clue what is happening afterwards. And I see it very often that customers are coming to me and saying, hey, we have invested into VMS X, but we have understood after a couple of, after the installation and after we have worked with this, that it is not delivering exactly what we need. So what can we do? I have one case right now who's exactly saying this, and he wants to have Mirasys right now on board. And now it's our turn to say, okay, guy, the investment is one point of the story, but please have a look to the total cost of ownership in general, if it is really fitting into this. And this is exactly what is happening here with the OPEX. Here are the most of the costs produced during the life cycle, not in the investment, but in the operational expenses. And we want to have a look to this, how Mirasys can fit into this today. Before we want to do this, just a definition of total cost of ownership. What does it mean? So there are a lot of definitions in the internet. So, and I'm pretty sure this is not completely what total cost of ownership does mean, but it gives you an idea what it could be. So first of all, the first part is the purchase. You are buying it, you are installing it. This costs money, so the investment. The second is the training. How easy is it to train your staff, and also during the life cycle, new stuff to the system? Do you need to be certified for this? Do you need to pay for this, etc., etc.? Then the usability. How easy is it to use it? How easy is it to adapt it to special customer or user requirements? A lot of features can be so lovely, can be so fine, but you have to have the right features so that you are saving money in your processes afterwards. Yeah, so we will talk about this later on. Security. So there are also systems today out in the market which are not delivering all the security items, security features that you need, and you need to pay afterwards for this. So in that case, it must be from the scratch in the system. Support and collaboration. So I do not mean only support from your partner, from your installer, from Mirasys. It's also important that Mirasys, for example, is talking to the end customer and is really understanding, okay, what are the requirements? How can we enrich the system so make it more usable at the customer side? Yeah. But support means also how the system is supporting you in your requirements. And we know it, requirements are growing with the duration of usage. That's a fact. Then the ideas are coming, or we are giving them ideas to enrich the system, to make more money, of course, as well. But how is the system, how is Mirasys reacting on this? Upgrades, updates. This is also a very important part. So how is the upgrade strategy of Mirasys during the life cycle? How can I be sure that our system is not maturing or is not old if I need to add more cameras in the future? How can we see Mirasys reacting on this? Repairs. Your hardware needs to be repaired, so or so. How Mirasys is supporting this? Maintenance administration is costing money. How easy is it to maintain and to admin the system in that way? And at the end, also, let's have a look to the resources. How resource eating, or how is the system eating the resources? Is it resource friendly, or is it resource non-friendly? Let's say in that way. CPU, performance, network resources, etc., etc. So what we want to do is right now, if we see all these parts of the TCO, which are belonging to the TCO, and I'm pretty sure this is not everything is mentioned here. Yeah, there must be multiple more. Let's have a look to each single unit right now and see how Mirasys and its VMS can support you in that way to reduce the total cost of ownership in that way. Let's start with the purchase. The first thing, the most attractive thing for a sales guy. It starts with buying the licenses. How is the license structure? How is Mirasys dealing with the licenses? So it is very complex, or is it very simple? In our case, it's very simple. So you have one camera, you are getting one license. You have a second camera, you're getting the second license. You have the third camera, you're getting the third license, etc., etc., etc. It is not depending on how many servers are you using. It is not depending on how big the storage is, which is sitting behind it. It's not depending on the enterprise level, how many users you are installing. There are different market scenarios depending on the market, how many users you can connect in the same way. But how many options do you have? Are there only a small part or small number of options, or do you have multiple options that you are pretty weird if you're looking into the price book? At Mirasys, it is simple to offer and simple to use. We have one licenses and except a couple, not more than a dozen options. You have everything in the full package for the first camera, and that's it. So you're saving time, you're saving money, and it's very transparent. And this is very important that you check also your provider if he's supporting that in a way as well. Hardware. If you're buying hardware from us, then our hardware is enterprise plus hardware, let's say in that way. I have hardware which is running 5 years and longer without any problems and with a lot of cameras. So, but if you buy the hardware from us, investment, it might be a little bit more expensive, and that's only a small portion. But this portion is used to pre-install and pre-configure the system like you want to do this. If you're buying hardware from us, we are asking you, okay, how many cameras on what server? What is the master server? How many or what is the storage that you want to have, and how should be the storage designed? So is it RAID or should it be our secure database distribution, etc., etc. So in that case, you are getting pre-installed and pre-configured hardware. You plug them, you start them, and the system is working. And then you start the configuration. That means adding cameras, adding users, managing the cameras, etc., etc. So it saves you money in the beginning for a small portion compared to the street price. You are getting hardware, first of all, that is on an enterprise plus level and not on a street level. And secondly, you are getting hardware which is pre-installed and pre-configured. And that saves money and that saves time, honestly. And you have one provider for hardware and software. If something is wrong, we are behind us. Training. Yeah, that's the point. Training. I see it very often that I'm asked, okay, Udo, what certificates do our technicians and do our users to do or to fulfill so that we can work with the system? We don't have any certification path for this, honestly, because we think if a system is easy to use, also the training should be easy to use. So we have a documentation portal. It is open for everybody. So if you go to the Mirasys webpage and you go to support, you see documentation. If you click on documentation, you see it in English and then you're in your own language translated by Google. So sometimes the synonyms are not really correct, but it works. Yeah, but it's open for everybody, for the partner as well as for the end user. So there is a standard document which to deploy, to configure, to manage and administrate the system. And we can also implement custom documents based on customer requests, or if we have new features or anything, so we can put it easily in or in easily. Then we have a training platform. So you register there and then you are free to run the configuration, the user training based on videos. We are supporting you with your own Dynamo software on your own laptop, etc., so that you can follow up this. And this is done very easily, honestly. I need to click this out. Okay. Oops. Yeah. And if I'm doing the training, or if we doing the training for you, with you, so it can be done remotely or face to face. But I honestly, so an administration training, a standard administration training I'm doing within 3 hours. And a user training normally 1 hour, not even more. So I had once the experience in a hotel I think I already told this, where the ladies, receptionists, needed to be trained, and I was saying, okay, we need to have a half a day. And after half an hour, they said, Udo, please step away because I think we can do this. I had the same experience with a customer in New York on a trade floor. She was also saying after half an hour, okay, Udo, I think that's fairly enough. I can do this because it's very intuitive. And this is the feedback. The training is necessary, surely, but it is easy to do and easy to manage. Intuition is always a case that we are dealing with. So you see, for example, here the Mirasys Spotter user front end. It is intuitive to use, and you can design it as you wish to have it or as your customers wish to have it. So if there is too much on this user front end, reduce it, shrink it, expand it, whatever you want to do, and then the user is very flexible in using it. We have a web client, an HTML5 client, also with the most important features here, also very intuitive, very easy to use, and very easy to manage. And then also the system manager. The system manager is the configuration, administration, and maintenance tool. So in that case, it's a centralized tool to manage all the servers here, all the users, etc., in one single user interface. And it's also by clicking on doing 1, 2, 3 clicks, you have configured one camera, you have implemented them, etc., So it's very simple to configure and to maintain even a complex system. And that's what Mirasys is standing for. Saving money by making it easy for the end customer to use the system and make it also easy for the partners to use the system, even if you're working not every day with it. And Mirasys, I'm personally, this is, let's say, most of my work, my day during the work, are supporting the customers as well. They can call me and say, hey, Udo, I have forgotten, how is it, how can we do this? And I'm giving him an advice. I'm doing this on my system. I share my screen with him via Teams, and he knows it. That's so simple. So let's test us in that way and understand that your training sessions are becoming smaller and less and more intuitive. Usability. So I think in the operational expenses, the usability plays a very huge role or big role. Usability doesn't mean, okay, how can I use the system? How simple is it to use the system? And how can the system be adapted, for example, for my requirements? So this is just a repeat of the usability of the easiness of the system. So it's quick and easy to install and deploy because it's intuitive, it's fast and simple to configure. And the user interface is really smart, light, and flexible. So you can set up the user interface like the user wants to have it and not like our system wants to have it. So, and also the centralized management and maintenance make it easier for you to manage the whole system. So this is one part of the usability, but also features. Yeah. We must have features which give us a better usability. So I have only a couple here. So the list is very long, honestly, and it depends on the customer requirements, what features are giving him the right tools to do his security processes or a production process, production management process or whatever. So just an example, storyboard. We have this export tool inside, which gives you the capability to export videos. Yeah, for sure. But in a store, for example, if you have a thief there and you want to, you caught them, yeah, and you want to export all the videos where you have stolen something. I had this case once where there were 3 guys. One was stealing, one was collecting from him and taking it out, and one was putting it to the car. And they did it over hours, honestly. So how to collect all these exports and make a story out of this? That would be great if you could do this. The storyboard is such a thing. So you can add cameras, you can add the exports to this, you can command these exports, and these commands will be written as underline in the videos, and then you can export the whole storyboard give it to the police, and the police can use our player to replay it and to see really what is happening. A very simple tool. The story is done within half an hour. If you want to export this, yeah, so it could take more time and it's not more efficient, let's say in that way, because then you need to take this video, the second video, the third video, you can need to open and replay the first video, the second video, and maybe you have to manually write down your comments in this. Here, everything in one tool. Easy LPR is also such a thing. So we have multiple LPR cameras today out from Hikvision, Dahua, Hanwha, for example, Axis, and much more. And all of them are managing black and white lists in their own cameras. So if you have to handle multiple cameras, you need to enter every single camera and manage the black-white lists. So in our case, we do this via our Spotter user interface. So we connect to each camera, we can read out the black and white list, we can alarm, etc., and we can manage this black and white list and send them out again to the cameras. So we can correct them, can add them, we can export them, import them via Excel file, and then we can distribute them to all the cameras, independent of if it is an Hikvision camera or an Axis camera or an Dahua camera. It saves time. So I have one customer who is exactly doing this, and he's really saying, okay, Udo, this is saving me time because I need not to enter the homepage of the camera or the web page of the camera anymore and do this for this camera and for this camera. And remember, I have this model, and even here, I cannot distribute it to both of the cameras. I need to log into each camera. So it's cost me time without end. So Easy LPR is the tool for it. Thumbnail search, just as an example, fast search mode for days and hours. So remember, so for example, I had one case in a hotel where somebody put and there was a security door, and he put something in front of the security door. I think it was a package. And nobody, after 2 days, they have seen, the staff have seen that there is something. Yeah. And they involved the police. For what reason? For whatever. And the police said, okay, now give me the exact date when it has happened. And they were searching like hell. Yeah, motion detection, etc., and they want to try to identify when it has happened. So with thumbnail search, you can do this within seconds because you can split the 3 days into 60 parts, and it gives you exactly some thumbnails, and you see, okay, in this case, the package was not there. The next time it was there. Then you take this time slot and reduce it again by 6, split it into 60 parts. Etc., until you find exactly the second when it has happened. So this is done within seconds or within a minute, let's say in that way, instead of searching, fast forwarding, fast backwarding, or looking or taking a motion search, and you're getting a lot of information because a lot of people are walking there, etc., It reduces your time to work with the system. Person search. I was talking about this case in a store. Yeah. So to find all the persons in 60 cameras within the store, yeah, is very tough. So I have once a case in a clothes store where they had, I think, 60 cameras. Yes. And they wanted to search. They searched all the 60 cameras to identify those 3 guys. Whoa. They did it within 6 hours. With person search, an add-on optional. Yeah. You can search all of these 60 cameras within minutes and find those 3 guys. And you have done exactly the thumbnails when they have been viewable on what camera. So a good tool to save money, saving 6 hours. Doesn't it sound great? Mixed mode, just as an example, view live and recordings, videos in the same tab at the same time. This is also something that is not really popular today or not standard today. So we can do this. So we are saving also money. You click on the camera, say, okay, I want to see the live view, but I want to see also the replays, and you do the same within one tab. There are still VMS providers today they need to open a new software for this, a new user interface. How can it be? And then we have these flexible UIs, as we said before, created like you want it, like you want to see it. And the flexible architecture, you build your system as you want it. If you want to have, for example, a smaller server there, you do it on a smaller server on site B. Yes, you do it. If you have a bigger server there, it does not matter. If you're not buying the servers from us, yeah, Dell on this side, HP on this side, and whatever on this side, you choose it and you do it like you want. Security. I see it also very often that, for example, facial and object blurring, yeah, is not part of the standard features. Why? We are living in a world of GDPR conformity, and our GDPR toolkit or the GDPR toolkit offers VMS must give you these capabilities. You have encryption here from the camera down to the end user, including the stream, if the camera is supporting this. You have this two-password authentication or this two-factor, authentication. This does mean you can use two passwords without any additional option or buying an optional license. You have this two-factor authentication. That means that you are getting a rolling key here from your authentication app and put it into to enter the system as a standard, even in the smallest version in the base, Pro and Enterprise. And then audit trail. Yeah, this should be standard that you have an audit trail, that you audit everything, that you have different multiple user rights, even in the smaller systems, yeah, or that you have HTTPS communication, etc., etc. Your system should grow or should contain all these and more security tools, GDPR tools in the standard license. This is saving your money instead of buying then afterwards an option and another option and another option because you identify, it's not part of the standard package that I have bought. Okay, support and collaboration. So the Mirasys open ecosystem is based on standards. So it must be easy to integrate with a system in a very cost-effective way. So we are doing this. We have some other webinars where we are explaining this in detail. So we need to be open and easy for integrations, for automation, for customer needs. When the customer is saying, I need it in that way, we should say, okay, we can do it. Give us some time and we do it. We should open for process optimization. And this does not mean only security process. It does mean also that we are optimizing our processes or optimizing process, for example, for a production system or logistics system or whatever. So the system should be open to support you in that way. Open for new technologies. This does mean, for example, if we see that there are new technologies which reducing the resources or the usage of resources in the system, or which enables you to work with less hardware, then we are interested, highly interested to implement this to this. And we have such tool which will be launched in autumn, a card. I'm coming later to this, yeah, which is exactly doing this. And we should be open for tailor-made solution. This is our profession, honestly. So it is not just to invest into a security system. In most of the cases, the customer has other needs where we can create tailor-made solutions to reduce the costs. At the end, it does mean we need to have a return on invest. Yeah, and we are really eager to work on this together with you. Okay, how can we do this? Mirasys is working on standards which are popular in the IT world. So if we are talking about our HTML5 client, it is working with every single web browser. We are using TCP/IP. We are using RTSP streaming to send out our video streams to third parties in a very simple way instead of making an integration. We're using TCP/IP interface to connect to third-party systems or RS-232, and then with an XSD validation to get this data out and create events out of this in a very simple and cost-effective way. We are using these proxies to get out metadata from the cameras, to interoperate with the cameras in a very clever way and using their intelligence. And you see all this other stuff. Yes, you see, this is our always only standards. So normally we never need to touch our core system to create some additional benefits for you. That's the fact. Okay, next step, upgrades and updates. So in former times, it was the case that if you have create or installed a DVR, he should run for 10, 15 years, hopefully, and you never did updates and upgrades. Today in the IT world, everything is about updates and upgrades. We are software-based. We are based on standard IT systems. Windows or also Linux is changing all the time, and a system or an operating system that is supported today won't be supported in 3 or 4 years. Remember Windows 7, Windows XP. And how is our system, how is Mirasys as a company reacting on upgrades and updates? So when you are buying the license from us, the license is containing an SMA, software maintenance agreement, for 1 year. That means within 1 year period, you have the right to upgrade or to update and upgrade the system to the major versions. That means within 1 year, you're getting the latest features and the system is not maturing. You're getting just a new license and that's it. After this year, the SMA can be bought from us for a small portion of money. And so you can continuing with upgrading the system to the latest version. So remember, this does mean that you never are having a maturing system anymore. The system is always state of the art, up to date. It is growing with the hardware changes, it's growing also with the operational system changes that you are making in your IT world. And it is not maturing anymore. So that means at the end, if we are lucky, after, let's say, a life cycle of 8 years, you are deciding to continue with the system because you have the latest system already on board. Why to invest into a new one? Except you are not satisfied with us, but I don't think so. If you decide not to invest into the SMA after the first year, okay, why not? In that case, it does mean that if you are coming to us and saying, okay, I have seen you have new features in the latest version, can I upgrade the system? Then we will give you an attractive upgrade package so that you are getting the latest version. What we are not doing, and this I have seen this also at one VMS provider, is first of all you need to pay all the SMAs for the past years, and then you need also to pay an upgrade price for the latest version so that you are getting the latest version. This is not fair, honestly. Fair is really to give you an attractive package so that you are getting the latest version all the time. Why? Because for us, the advantage is we are not really interested to support older versions, because this does mean invest money or keeping development resources bounded on older versions. For us, it is interesting that we have at least only 3 versions. So if we would still invest into version 6, which is a 14 years old system already, yeah, we would bound our development resources. So our interest is also to give you always the latest version. And talk to us. If you have an old version, if you have still an old version and you want to have the latest version, talk to us. We can give you a very attractive package. So this is also reducing costs at the end, because the investment is safe. You have always the latest version. Remember, you would buy a car and your car dealer is saying, okay, you pay me a small portion of money and you will get a new car every or a new model every year. It would be great, or in software versions, this is possible. Technical wise, it is looking like this. So we have the master-slave architecture. So the master has to have the highest version always. So it must be not the latest one, but must be the highest in the system. And the server is supporting all the recording servers downwards. That means if you have a master with version 9, he's supporting also version 8 and version 7 slaves. In the good thing is really, first of all, you don't need to spend your budget for upgrading the whole system if you don't have the budget. It would be great, of course, yeah, so because we have more security, but it is not necessary. On the other side, you have the latest features on Spotter, on the user interface, because the master is communicating with the user interface and giving them the right. So if you have new features, you can use them also with older servers. So it is saving money. It is saving your time. You can manage your budget. You can plan your budget how you want to do this. And the other advantage is also the centralized upgrade. So you don't need to travel. You don't need to log in remotely to the slaves, yeah, to upgrade the slaves. You don't need to log into the clients or go to the clients and put the software inside or distribute the software. This is not happening anymore because via the master server and the system manager, every slave can be upgraded. So the master server is then sending the package to the slave. The slave is upgrading by itself, and then is giving a message to the master server or a feedback. Okay, I'm upgraded, everything is fine. And then the system is upgraded. And you can do this. You can select each single slave server or all of them and do this with one single click. Imagine if you have 100 slaves distributed worldwide and you have only one single click to upgrade all the slave servers. Wow. And then the Spotter UI. You don't need to touch any client anymore. So if the client is logging into the master server and is communicating his rights and his profiles with the master server, he's also getting the latest version, the same version as the master server, and the user is not recognizing this. He's only seeing, okay, there is a version 9.4 instead of version 9.3. But this is done very quickly. This is within 30 seconds. You have upgraded the user by simply logging in as this user. So let your users do the upgrade and they do not see it. Isn't it great? Isn't it saving money? Isn't it saving costs? Isn't it saving time? Isn't it saving resources? Nice system. Repairs. Okay. If you're buying the hardware from us, it comes with 5 years warranty on hardware. That does mean that if there is anything broken, hard disk or graphic card or whatever, a certified expert is coming and will repair your hardware and replace the broken parts, including the hard disks, next business day. You can choose if you want to keep the hard disk or if you give the hard disk away, but you don't have any costs anymore. So if the system is breaking, an expert is coming, a local expert, and that's the point. If you're living in Germany, so it does not matter if Mirasys is in Helsinki, an expert from our hardware provider is coming and delivering or repairing the hardware. I have experience with this here in Germany and it is working very well, and also in other countries. Then we have this automated backup and recovery. So if your operation system partition is crashing, you can recover operating system and VMS with this automated backup and recovery very easily. So there is no need to do an image, to save an image, to save this image every second day or whatever you want to do and put it into your data center. The automated backup and recovery within the system, within the server, is doing this for you. And there is an automated failover and failback. That means also here we have a fast reaction on broken servers. So if a server is breaking down or is not communicating anymore with the master server, the failover server is taking over automatically. And if he's back, it could be done manually as well. Can also do the failback to the original server again, including the recordings, etc., etc. This is a new feature what we are bringing out in version 9.5, and there will be a webinar in 2 weeks' time, honestly. So repair friendly in that case, yeah, it does mean, okay, your hardware is so good that it is running for 5 or more years. My experience is I have one system outside. This is running now for 8 years. And our hardware provider was so proud of it that there was no single failure, neither from the hard disk, and this is really hard, very hard. This is an airport, yeah. That he was enhancing or expanding the warranty to 8 years for a low price. And this is really what is our hardware is standing for. Good hardware for harsh environments, for harsh systems. Okay, maintenance and administration. Let's talk about this. Yeah, as I mentioned already, you're saving costs if you have a distributed system by having a centralized management. So that means for administrators, users, and for the maintenance, you can access the system centralized. So there is no need to go remote or to go on the site and access the server on the site or do it remotely by TeamViewer or whatever. You can manage the whole system centralized, including checking the CPU load, etc., from the system manager. There is a focused communication. So we have different administrator levels, multiple user levels. We have a system health control and redundancy management. All this helps you to give the exact right to the exact users. Yeah, so that means if user A is requiring this user rights and user B is only requiring a smaller portion of the user rights, you do it. Yeah, if you have different administrator levels, one guy is responsible for the user management, one is responsible for a couple of servers, one is responsible for everything or for adding cameras. You can do this. So the system can be designed like you want from the different user levels. And then you have also the full control of critical environment. That means control the user right management. You have a full audit management. You see who is doing what, and you have this update and upgrade process as we have spoken before. Resources. This is something that normally is not really that normally anybody is doing really having a look to, let's say in that way. Resource friendly. Our VMS is really resource friendly, and this means it reduces the usage of resources. What does it mean? You do not need to have always our VCA. Our VCA has a lot of advantages, so video content analysis. We have also intelligent cameras from our camera providers, yeah, Hikvision, Dahua, whoever, yeah, Bosch. They have their own intelligence inside and they're using metadata. Why not to use this metadata to enrich our experience and to work with it and not just getting a tick, hey, there is an alarm on this camera, to see in lifetime, okay, somebody getting this message, somebody is passing this tripwire, somebody has left the luggage, somebody is waiting or is standing there, is dwelling there for five minutes or whatever, and then to act on this. We have smart recording. That means we are not using a CPU for this. So surely we use it, but the most important part is really to transmit this information directly from the camera as it is to our storage. Yeah, so our CPU consumption is very low. Then we have the secure data distribution. That means how we use the hard disks or the storage inside. We don't need any RAID. If you want to have a RAID, for sure, but we don't need, but we have still safe recordings. And remember how much time it takes and how much resources it takes to manage and to configure a RAID. And if there is a failure on the RAID, yeah, how to recover the RAID. So it is taking hours and days to recover a RAID array in that way. We don't need it, but we still have safe and secure data storage and recording. from the scratch without any money, additional money. Less bandwidth. So we see very often that we are asked if we are doing transcoding, for example, how we send the videos to the clients. We don't do this. We use multiple streaming for this. And there is a communication between the recorder and the spotter or the user interface. And the user interface is telling the recorder what of those multiple streams he wants to get. So if we have a full D resolution presentation, then he's getting full D, for example, or he's getting a bigger size. If we have only the small thumbnails there, or he's getting the lowest resolution, etc., etc. It saves CPU load because transcoding does mean CPU or GPU load, and it saves bandwidth. High performance analytics. This is what I mentioned before. In a short term, we are presenting a Mirasys AI card that is enabling us to use artificial intelligence or also VCA and decoding and other stuff on this card without using a graphic card anymore. Graphic cards are limited. So there is a list where I can say, okay, this graphic card can do this, this graphic card can do this. Here we can use this AI card and we can, let's say, replace multiple graphic cards by only one AI card. It saves costs, it saves money. And then we have also other stuff. I don't want to talk about this right now. So you can see it, distributed flexibility, get the right resources at the right places, and the ability to grow. You can grow the system whenever you want. This might be also important for you. Our system is upward and downward compatible. That means if you, for example, buy and have an old system and you buy a new camera, in the most of the cases, 99% of the cases, we can use the latest camera driver for this camera, vice versa. New system, all the cameras are still working together. Okay, finally, we are coming to the conclusion. We have seen that the total cost of ownership, this iceberg, is a bit more than just the beginning, the start investment into installation, licenses and hardware and cameras, etc. So it is even more because under the water, there are the operational expenses. And the operational expenses are split into training, usability, security, support, etc., etc., etc. So let's have a conclusion how Mirasys could support in a very simple way you in that way that you are reducing the total cost of ownership. You're saving costs. You are saving human resources, which means costs. You are saving time, which means costs, etc. Okay, we're starting with the purchase at the beginning with the investment, based on the fact that we have most of the features, except a couple of smaller features, special features, implemented into the basic package. You don't have so much investment. If you buy the package from us, the license from us, you have everything contained in this package. And you don't need to do another option and another option. Oh, we have seen this is just an option, but you don't have told us. No, everything is inside. Except, let's say, 6 to 10 different options that we have, but they are for special users, like this person search, for example, or license plate recognition, but also very simple to add. We have a faster installation because if you're buying the whole system, including hardware from us, it is pre-installed and pre-configured. I don't want to say plug and pray, plug and play, but it is pre-configured and it saves money. We don't need so much training resources. It is easy to use, it is very intuitive, and also our training centers, our online training is fairly enough to work with the system. If you are drilling into the deep, let's say as a specialist, yeah, then we have some special training and we support you with guidance also remotely, on-site, whatever you want. So we can give you advice wherever it is. This is our daily work. So we are open-minded in that way. Usability does mean to reduce human operations. So all the features that we have inside, are built for reducing your workload, optimizing your processes, optimizing your workload, optimizing your workflow or whatever. And this is what Mirasys is standing for. Optimized resources. So use the resources in a very fair manner. Use it very wisely. And that's also a creator of Mirasys, our target, to do it more and more in this way. Because our goal is really to go also into the cloud-based solution. With today's system, I see very often that systems are pronounced as a cloud-based solution, which they are not. Because cloud-based solutions need really to be optimized on the resources, because bandwidth does matter, interfaces does matter, and also the resources. You need to pay for the resources anyway. So we need to reduce the resources, and we are doing this. Less travel, okay. Yeah, this means a centralized system. You do not need to go on site, except you need to clean the hard. You need to clean the server, or you need to clean the camera lenses or whatever. So you can centralized manage the whole system and admin the whole system, and that's a very good advantage. Security. All the security features and more in the future must be implemented and not bought as an option. So this is very important, that security does not cost you additional afterwards if you want to have more security inside. We are really eager to make the system as secure as we can, together with our technology partners. Long warranty, repairs. Yeah, so I explained this, we have 5 years warranty. And all the systems that I have out here in the field, where I've sold hardware, are running for years without any problems. Do this with an VD Purple or whatever. Do this with an own built server. You must be very lucky if it's really running 5 years without any problems. It could happen, but it could happen also in our system that it is running a year and then it's stopping. I had once this case, but then somebody's coming and repairing free of charge because it's part of the deal. Support and collaboration, the system and Mirasys are customer focused. That means we are really eager to support you in the best manner and to help you that your system is running in the best way. And if you have special requirements, then let's talk about this, because special requirements could mean reducing of total cost of ownership. And then upgrades, updates. I just want to mention downward compatibility. That means the highest version in the master server and slaves, which are, let's say, 8 years old, are still running on the system, and you have the latest features. So as well with the camera driver, I mentioned it already, an old system should work with new cameras as well as a new system with old cameras. Sometimes this is not working depending on the APIs, but in most of the cases it is fact. Yeah, okay, so we are coming to the Q&A session. Let's see if there are any questions. Yeah, at the end it comes to the lower TCO, and we have now the Q&A session. Okay. All right, there's one question. So if you're using secure data distribution, does it mean that you are not working with RAID or virtualization? No, that's not true. Surely we are working also with with RAID systems as well as with virtualizations. Both are, let's say, state of the art today. The secure data distribution is just, let's say, a cheap solution that allows you really to use your hard disks in a sequential mode. And then if a hard disk is failing, you still haven't stream with less frames, let's say, in that way, but you haven't streamed. There is a webinar about this available on YouTube. If you want to work with RAID, surely we can support every single RAID system, as well as DAS, NAS, etc. And we are working also with virtualization over the whole system. Honestly, if you want to have, for example, redundancy on the master server, we are using the virtualization on two back-to-back master server, which are virtualized to each other, synchronizing to each other. But we can work with VMware, Hyper-V, etc. as well. Okay, I'm checking if there is any other question. No, I think you are fed up. I don't hope so. I do hope, first of all, or I would like to say thank you, first of all, that you have attended to this webinar. I do hope that it was a lot of information and a lot of systems, a lot of good ideas. Oh, there is one. Okay, there's one. SM applies to master server. How is it on all servers that are added to the master? Yeah. Okay. Let's answer this question before we forget it. Okay, the SMR applies to all the servers. That means it is managed by the master server for sure. In future, also by an so-called license server, centralized license server. But it is also applied to the single servers, because actually the fact is that the licenses are dedicated to the MAC address of a server. This is today. In future, it will be on a centralized master server and then will be distributed. But that means you can have, for example, a master server that has an SMA and some other servers that have also an SMA, and a third server that does not have an SMA anymore. So there could be also a mixture mode. But normally I have one customer who has synchronized all the servers that he has on the SMA. So he said, okay, my deadline is on the 31st of December, and then I renew my SMA. But normally it's dedicated to these servers. I hope it is answering your question. Okay, then a next try. I thank you again for attending this webinar. This will be published in a few days on our YouTube channel. Our next webinar will be in 2 weeks' time. It is about the automated failover and failback from version 9.5. And at the end, I hope that it was fruitful for you. If not, please let me know. It was very theoretical. I'm promising that the next one will be a little bit more practical. And at the end, I say all the best to you. Stay safe and have a good rest of the week and be successful. Bye-bye. All the best.